Hi, and welcome to Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Today I'm going to read to you from Mr. Barsins Toy Emporium by Lois Wickstrom. Chapter 1. The Gaudy Place. Lily. Our car rounds the bend in the freeway. Papa puts on the blinkers, then turns into the parking lot of a toy store. It's gaudy, but not in the ordinary way. Ordinary gaudy is lots of coloured lights and ads for overpriced little kids' toys. This one has a mural of strong gnomes, winsome mermaids, fiery dragons, and sweet chubby sylphs capering across the storefront. I find this odd because most people don't know what sylphs really look like. Even people who do know usually draw sylphs looking stick thin like in the movies. Then they call them fairies instead of saying their real name. Not here, Papa, I groan. I thought we were going to bake presents and save the planet. Everything here will be overpackaged. We're not shopping, Lily, says Papa. Mr. Barsin, the man who owns this store, came to my office last week. We started talking about children, and I told him how much you miss Nappy and Cordy. He said he'd like to meet you. He says very few children have imaginary playmates these days. Nappy and Cordy are not imaginary. I can't help sounding exasperated. Nappy and Cordy lived in the apple tree in the backyard of our old house in Iowa. Papa couldn't see them, so he thought I was just lonely after Mama died and imagined friends to play with. Then, when we moved to Florida, he thought they'd move with us, because of course imagination isn't something you have to pack into a box or make room for on the back seat. I repeat the words I've said many times. They're real, and so are their little yellow friends, the question mark shaped cormos. If this Mr. Barsin thinks they're imaginary, then he probably can't see them either. Barsin. I've heard that name before. I think my sylphs, Nappy and Cordy, talked about someone named Barsin. Again, I wish they were here so I could ask them. Papa lowers the ramp on the side of the van. Maybe Mr. Barsin can help you find them. He seemed to know a lot about imaginary playmates. He even knew the word sylph. That is suspicious. Almost nobody knows the word sylph. Maybe Papa said the word first, and then Mr. Barsin copied it, just to win Papa's confidence. I scoot my wheelchair down the ramp into the parking lot. I picture Nappy joggling his silly floppy hat, and Cordy fluttering the eyelashes on her good eye with that wonderful wink. The wink that says, everything will be okay. I love you. I really want to see my friends again, and know that they are all right. A man wearing a tuxedo approaches us across the parking lot. I did not expect a toy store owner to dress like that. Something is off about this man. The edges of his suit flicker red. Are they a warning? Like a roadside hazard? He walks right up to me, bends down condescendingly and says, "Hello, I'm Mr. Barsin. You must be Lily. Welcome to my home for imaginaries." Imaginaries. That's when I remembered what Nappy and Cordy said. This man runs a zoo, but instead of trapping animals in cages, he puts elementals in a big greenhouse like potted plants. Elementals is the group name for all 4 kinds of special people, one for each of the 4 elements. There are sylphs for air, mermaids for water, gnomes for earth, and dragons for fire. My friends told me about you, I say, as politely as I can, because Papa was watching, and he expects me to be polite, even to people I don't like. They would never live in your zoo. Mr. Barsin goes all smooth, like a salesman talking to a sucker. The wrinkles even disappear from his jacket, but the red light around him zizzles and zaps. It is definitely a warning. My home for imaginaries is a playground where imaginaries come to wait until the right child takes them home. Who ever heard of a zoo where children can take home the animals? Nappy and Cordy told me you have a one per child rule. Nappy and Cordy are friends. They must stay together. I glare at Mr. Barsin. His red outline takes on the shape of a dragon. The dragon is both him and not really him. The dragon part whispers to me, "You are safe here." "I don't have Nappy and Cordy," says Mr. Barsin. I can't tell if he's lying. "Please come in and meet some of the fairies who live here. You might find one you like." I lock the brakes on my wheelchair. Nappy and Cordy are sylphs, not fairies. He doesn't really know their true name. And I don't want a substitute sylph. I want Nappy and Cordy. They are my friends. I try to sound firm, like Papa when the insurance salesman tries to sell him an expensive policy just because I'm in a wheelchair. "My Papa said that maybe you could help find my friends. If they're not here, we're leaving now." Mr. Barsin smiles. "The sylphs in there," he nods towards his toy store, "might have news of your friends. Surely you want to know if your friends have found a new child to play with after you moved away." A tear rolls down my cheek. I don't want to look weak in front of this horrible man. I can't help it. My sylphs with a new human friend. My sylphs forgetting about me. I don't want that to happen, but Mr. Barsin is right. The most important thing is to know that my friends are happy. Papa loves me, but we've had trouble talking to each other since Mama died. He thinks I imagined my sylphs because I don't have Mama anymore. Truth is, they've always been around. They played in the apple tree in our yard for as long as I can remember. I only told Papa about them because he was worried that I didn't feel safe and loved after Mama died. They didn't come with us when we moved to Florida. A few tears flow down my cheek. I do want news of my friends, even if it means I find out they are with new children and I'll never see them again. Warily, I release the brakes and pull back the throttle on my wheelchair so I can follow Mr. Barsin into the store. I roll past rows and rows of ugly plastic toys and wasteful cardboard boxes. Papa holds up an optical illusion kit. "This might be fun." I shake my head. How toys when I'm about to find out about my friends? Papa puts the toy back on the shelf. Mr. Barsin stops beside the brick wall at the end of the last aisle and motions for me to roll up beside him. Despite my doubts, I roll right up to the wall. He points to a spot on the bricks. "Put your hand there." When my palm touches the wall, it dissolves. A soft-edged gap opens. I smell and see apple trees in full bloom, like springtime, even though the season's now fall. I hear insects chitter and buzz. Sylphs flutter like butterflies and perch weightlessly on branches. Birds chirp. I roll my chair through the gap in the wall. Chapter 2. Through the wall. "How are you doing that?" Papa asks. He smacks the bricks with his hand. "The wall is solid." "Follow right behind her," says Mr. Barsin. His voice sounds sneaky, like there's a secret he's not telling me. I wonder if I'm rolling into a trap. But I see apple trees ahead and I feel safe. I roll towards them. Papa follows me. I roll up to the trunk of an apple tree and call to the sylphs hovering among the branches. "Have you seen Nappy and Cordy?" The sylphs take a stealthy glance at me, a flick of the eyes. I almost don't see it. Then they look hard at each other and pretend they didn't hear me. "I know you heard me," I say firmly. The sylphs ignore me, but one of them laughs, and I know that laugh. It's the laugh that means they're hiding an important secret. It also means they're not going to tell me what I want to know. I look down sadly. The buttercups beside my chair wiggle. I don't feel a breeze. No bees are gathering nectar. I look more closely. Then I see them. Fuzzy yellow question mark shaped cormos nestle in the blossoms. Not just any cormos. Nappy and Cordy's cormos. I reckon because the chief cormo is wearing her distinctive double-pointed hat. Cormos are always camouflaged. Their yellow curved heads match the colour and shape of buttercups. Anyone who hasn't been introduced to the jump when they look straight at them. I glance at Mr. Barsin. He doesn't see them. He doesn't know about cormos. That means Mr. Barsin doesn't know where the sparkly dust on sylph wings comes from. Nappy and Cordy told me they had some in their earliest memories, but they quickly used it up. Then the cormos gave them more. What we call fairy dust is really cormo dust, and he thinks he knows everything. The chief cormo nods her double-peaked hat towards me and whispers, "Pretend you're smelling the flowers." I lean over the side of my chair and sniff. The chief cormo murmurs, almost like a bee buzzing. "Nappy and Cordy are waiting for you in the autumn woods." "Autumn?" I ask, keeping my voice low. "It's springtime." "Here, it is all 4 seasons at once." If I look around, I am not alone in this wonderland. A brown-skinned boy with kinky curly hair has just come through the wall that isn't there. 3 grown-ups follow him protectively. I guess they are his parents and his grandmother. Mr. Barsin leaves me and goes to talk to them. His tuxedo's red light flickers wildly, and his coattails flap like vulture wings. He gives the boy his salesman smile. The boy points. I follow his finger. He is pointing at a girl who is wearing a shiny bicycle helmet with the words "Knighthood's Flower" painted on the back. She is carrying a toy sword. When did she come in? She wasn't here before me, and I didn't hear her before the boy. Mr. Barsin doesn't think she's important, but the boy does. "I've come to slay a dragon," the girl says matter-of-factly. The boy shouts, "You can't let her." She must be nuts. Nobody can kill her at all. No wonder Mr. Barsin ignores her. He's in the business of getting children to take elementary with him. "Don't worry, Jack," says Mr. Barsin. "We get a dragon slayer in here almost every month." Jack does not calm down. He goes to the girl and tugs on her toy sword. Mr. Barsin begins talking to Jack's parents. His grandmother tries to tug him away from the girl. "Let go, Jack," she says. "Dragons are imaginary. She can't kill one." Jack continues to tug. A sylph flutters over to Jack and taps him on the shoulder. Jack turns to her and smiles. His grip on the sword loosens. The girl yanks it away. "That's my good boy," says his grandma. The sylph begins a game of tag. Jack chases her across the meadow, giving up on the girl with the sword. "What's he doing now?" the boy's mother asks Mr. Barsin. "He's playing, as a child should," says Mr. Barsin. Even though this is a sensible thing to say, I hear a threat in his voice. I check on the boy. He appears to be safe. Mr. Barsin walks away from Jack's parents and approaches the dragon slayer girl. He gestures like an usher. "Hello, Audrey. I'm Mr. Barsin. If you want to slay a dragon, you must follow my rules. I've got a dragon ready for you at a cave in the hillside. He's waiting for battle." Mr. Barsin is back in salesman mode. He says he's selling. No imaginaries would stay here if they could be killed. He's up to something. "What does it cost?" Audrey asks. "Is there a price you would not pay?" asks Mr. Barsin. The girl reaches into her pocket and takes out a small wad of money. "This is all I have." "I don't want your money," says Mr. Barsin. "Then name your price," says the girl. Mr. Barsin puts his hand on the girl's shoulders and aims her in the direction of the autumn wood and crunchy, like outside, only prettier. Audrey looks around and hesitates. Maybe this girl has some sense after all.